I woke up not in agony for the first time in a while. I gotta tell you, last night's video was pure medicine for me. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go look at the video. I'll link to it down below about my dating site adventure. And I wanted so much to start doing that again, but I just wasn't feeling well enough emotionally, and it was hard to even imagine enjoying something. And then I started to feel a little bit better. As soon as I started telling you guys that I was struggling, the past few videos I talked about that, I started to feel better, and I made some changes to feel better. Like one thing is that I changed the way I'm doing my sales, not scheduled for a little while. And I thought there was something else, I don't know, but I tried to relieve some stress, and I knew if I could do that, then, you know, maybe I could start to focus on other things. So yesterday I felt up to talking about the dating site. I laughed so much. Laughing, crying, they both work. You know, some people say, don't cry, don't cry. I think if you cry for 4 days straight, to the point where one morning your eyes are so swelled that you can barely open them, because I went through that. And, you know, it's like eventually you are like almost done and ready to do something other than cry. So I say cry, laugh, do whatever you feel like doing, but it felt so good to laugh last night during that video, the making of that video, and then the watching of the video. I watched it a couple times, especially the end when I was laughing. I was so happy to see me laughing. It made me feel good for myself. That's not what this video is about, but I wanted to tell you that, I'm right now, currently, today, at this moment, I'm feeling pretty good. Now, this is what the video is about. It just came to me today. I said, well, you know, this has happened a couple times. Maybe I'll talk about it. Once upon a time, I think I did, I know I did. I don't know if it was one video, 2 videos, and I created a playlist. It was videos about, like, my favorite songs or something, and there was just a few mentioned. And I created a playlist. I know one of them has to be Sweet Child O' Mine. That's got to be in there, but I don't really remember. So I'm curious to go look at that playlist. And I have a couple of songs that I recently discovered, and my mind is baffled as to how I didn't really know anything about one of them. One of them, it was like a brand new song, and I looked it up, and I was like, this song is over 30 years old. How did I not know about it? So I'm going to talk about that song, and before I forget, I'm going to put that in that playlist that I have, and then I have another song today. It happened to me today, and you know, I'm just gonna throw them out there. I don't know how come I don't know these songs, and I'm sure all of you will. Anyone who's at least my age. The first one, I had to write it down even. And I probably discovered this one, I don't know, a couple months ago, and I would hear it when I was in my car. And after hearing it a couple times, I was like, I really like that song. I gotta see who the band is. I can see on my radio, and it was Alice in Chains. Never heard of Alice in Chains, never. And the song, Man in the Box. Clueless. So of course I was anxious to ask Derek, because I like to throw songs at him, because I'm surprised how much he knows about music that's not even like in his day, but like in my day. And I gotta put the AC on. It's humid. But before I did that, I went home and I looked up the band, and you know, I'm thinking this is new and I'm going to like them. And the lead singer, his name, Lane, I can't even see without my glasses. Anyway, he died. I think it's Lane Stanley. I don't have glasses on. I can't even read my own writing. He died at 34, a long time ago, overdose. So I fell in love with a band. I started looking up their history, and then I had to mourn the loss of a singer that I knew nothing about. And I've done that before. I watched, and I know it was in the 90s because I remember the apartment that I was in when I watched this documentary. It might have been a behind the music. Stevie Ray Vaughan. Now, of course, I was familiar with some of the music, but I didn't know anything about him. And I watched that whole documentary and appreciated him so much. And I was like, oh my God, this guy is awesome. And, you know, it's like I didn't have internet then, so I couldn't like look anything up. At the end, I found out he died. I was devastated. And it's like, in a matter of whatever it was, an hour and a half, 2 hours, I fall in love with this band, the music, all that, and then he has to fucking die. Same as Badfinger. Some of you might remember I did a video on my way to Biddeford, and I was crying. I was devastated because I had watched some documentaries about Badfinger, all because of the song, oh shit, what is the name of it? It was, a song in Breaking Bad, like their finale or something, and I loved that song, and I didn't really know who did that song, so I looked it up, and it was Badfinger, and I was like, well, I know Badfinger, so I started watching documentaries and stuff, and two of them hung themselves young, and one of them, I believe his name is Tom, reminded me so much of my husband Andy when I met him when he was 18. I met him when I was 14, he was 18. And no, because some people think this, he is not Derek's father. I met Derek's father. I was in Texas when I met Andy, visiting a brother. And when I came back to Maine, I met Derek's father just a couple months after that. So it was the same year, but no. Anyway, I was so broken up over Badfinger and that story. I cried for a couple of weeks. I just couldn't stop thinking about it. Again, it brings me back to my youth. It brought me back to my husband. And, you know, I was a broken-hearted child. That's all. So I don't feel as bad about the guy in Alice in Chains, but you know, it's just funny how I can get wrapped into something and then it turns out bad. So today I was on my way to the post office and I hear a song that I knew. Now, do I know the name of it? I can't even think of how it goes right now. The name of the song is Always. I would have never known that was the name of that particular song. And the band is Saliva. And I asked Derek if that's the way it's pronounced, and he said he believes so. And did I tell you that Derek knew everything about Alice in Chains? He knew the whole history of that band. I was like, how do you know this? And I've never even heard of them. You know? So when I got home after hearing Saliva, I texted him because Derek is starting a new podcast. This one is on camera, but it's also a podcast with the drummer from the band that he's in. His name is Jeff Ward. So Derek is the host of this podcast. Jeff is like the co-host. And what they're going to be doing is booking popular musicians or, you know, from the past. I don't know everything that they have up their sleeve, from the Memphis area. And they did one episode of just Derek and Jeff talking to like introduce Jeff and stuff. I know there's an episode tonight, but that one is again just the two of them. Let me see. It's going to be, I think he said, the next 2 weeks, just the two of them. But then after that, they're going to have, supposedly, their first guest. I'm going to look at my text because I don't want to get things wrong. The first interview should be published on 11/21. So if you think you might be interested in that at all, go sub to Derek's channel. I think it's always in my description. I'll make sure it is. And I know he's been trying a whole lot of things, but the thing is that he has a channel, he still loves it, and he's just going to throw out there whatever he feels like doing, like I tell him to, but I have a hard time following my own advice, you know? But I tell him, you do whatever you want. It will fall into place. You're going to gain some subscribers. You're going to lose some subscribers. Don't worry about that. Just do what makes you happy. Okay? I have to tell myself that. So I hear this song, Always, by Saliva. I would remember a band called that, and I might be mispronouncing it. I don't know. I get home. And I looked them up, and it's like a band from Memphis. And of course, that song is a little bit old, 2002. So 20 years ago, and I've never heard of the band. I do know the song. So I text Derek. Let me see. Instead of trying to think of what I said, I shall read to you. I texted, "Why am I always late to the party when I hear a song I love? There was a song by Saliva on the radio called Always. It made me melt." Because it brings me back. And today I didn't cry. I was able to listen to that song and not fucking break down, because I laughed so much last night that I was in a better place. I just looked them up, and they're from Memphis. Get them on your podcast, LOL. So I get a text back. Jeff has connections that can lead to the singer. Jeff has already put this guy on the list. I text back, what the fuck? Question mark. I had no idea that I was going to get a text back like that. I'm like, what the fuck? Did you mention this to me? I know you mentioned somebody from Winger, another band that I know the song of. One of the popular ones is 17. I didn't know. They're from Memphis, and they're trying to get somebody from that band on. I'm watching their 17 video right now. I was watching that because it made me remember that I wanted to look them up because Derek mentioned them, and I didn't know the name Winger. I'm like, pure fucking eye candy. I'm gonna have to put that one in the playlist too. I mean, those guys, they were the kind of guys that were out there when I was out there clubbing. Was that the 80s? I don't know, but it was the long hair, and yeah. So I asked him, did you mention this to me? And he says, I did not mention Saliva, just a great coincidence. I'm like, that's an insane coincidence, so it was a coincidence. It was the law of attraction at work. It's funny how we can love certain songs, and I'm sure every generation has the songs that they love, and it's harder for me to love like the stuff that Skylar listens to, but there is some stuff that I really, really like. Now I have to go mail a package, and I don't know. Oh, I'm actually going to put a little sale up today. See, spur of the moment. I'm not scheduled, so I felt comfortable today to say I can actually put something up to sell. So that's what I'm going to do. So you have to do this for me. For me, I want this. Derek there for a little while, I think he did it 3 times. On a Friday night, he did bass covers. So he's playing the bass to songs like Casey and the Sunshine Band, and I know the other 2. That made my night. I would look forward to the Friday nights that he would put something up, and I could listen to it over and over because it was just the music. He was getting such good comments about do more of this, and I was so happy. But the thing is, he can't monetize those videos. But I said, look, people like it a lot. You'll get viewers. Maybe they'll subscribe for this. Then they, might watch your other stuff. So he was excited, and he was like, I'm going to do this every Friday night. He did it 3 Friday nights, and then he was really busy finishing his studio. And he said he was going to take a break. And he's like, I just want to surprise them. The next one will be in my studio. Now, I'm spoiling the surprise, but I have to, because he has not uploaded one of those videos since. So you need to go bombard his comments. Or if you're in his Facebook group, link is in my description. Go tell him that his mother wants that series back. You can tell him you would like it back too if it was something that interested you. We got to get him back to that. I don't care if it's every other week. If once a week is too much for him. At one point he's like, well, I don't know, I'm going to run out of songs. I'm like, you played 3 songs. Hundreds of songs. You're not going to run out. So go encourage him. Tell him I need this in my life. I need that. And I would love to see how it looks in his studio without a bed behind him and a bathroom door open, We need to do that. I even told him I was going to buy like this little twinkly thing that would make twinkly lights, because he was doing disco. He's like, but I'm not going to always do disco. And I'm like, but would you use that stupid light? And he says, yes, I would. I was like, okay. So we have to encourage him to do that. Please go tell him in his group or on any one of his videos. Oh, and so there is a podcast video tonight with him and Jeff. So I, like I said, I will be promoting it. I don't know what they're doing tonight. I'm sure they're just going to probably talk about their plans. But I'm excited about this because that would be super cool if he could, have some people. They would like it, because some of these people are people who are maybe once were famous or had a one-hit wonder kind of thing, but then they're still playing, but nobody knows them anymore. And that's why Derek is doing this in podcast form, not just a video. It's going to be a video. You're going to see the people. It's not just the audio for this. But it's a bigger attraction to say to someone, would you like to be on our podcast than would you like to be on our video on my YouTube channel? It's switching gears. There's a lot of people into podcasts. I'm not. But I don't mind if it's a podcast that's being, recorded for the sake of a podcast, but that I can still watch it. Okay, I think that's enough. I'll have all the links that I talked about down below, and I will put a link to that playlist too. I'm curious to know what other songs I liked other than Sweet Child of Mine. There's a lot of them that can make me have to pull over and just bawl my eyes out. And Sweet Child of Mine is absolutely one of them. And Axel, he's still out there. He struggles a little bit, but I just love him. I just love him. All right, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll be back with more soon. Bye.